So, welcome to the weekly watch of May 21st, 2013. I am your host, Darkly10000, and with me as always is Truman. Truman?
Yep, here I am.
And Nathan.
Yep, I'm here.
Hello.
Alright.
What was that?
That was what?
That loud scraping sound.
You guys didn't hear like a scratch?
Not really.
That was Truman. Because he didn't hear.
Yeah. So then.
Huh.
What did we watch this week, guys?
We watched Serial Experiments Lain, which is like one of our anime's fucking favorite shows. And like okay, and it's like this and Evangelion is like all like 90% of what they talk about.
So does anyone want to explain it? Because, I didn't understand anything.
I was gonna say, so who understood what was going on throughout the whole thing? I totally did. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I figured out what was going on after I thought about it for a while.
I'm just gonna mostly be quiet because I have no idea.
Okay. So it starts out, and you got this girl Lain, and she's like shy and kind of awkward, and then so she gets this email from this person she knew who says that she's living in the Wired. Now the Wired is like this weird alternative, like alternative universe version of the internet. It's like the internet, but like not exactly. It's like Internet Plus. All right.
Internet Plus.
Do you remember the internet from Futurama?
Is it the one?
Yeah.
Where they're able to like walk around and go. She's able to do that.
Well, but like the Wired wasn't just the internet. The Wired was like the Wired.
There's also like the radio and television.
Yeah,
it's basically anything with
the Wired
electronic
was like
communication.
Was in this show. The Wired wasn't just like the internet. It was like
any form of electronic communication.
A mimicking of like this natural like wave that the Earth had. That connected.
No. That's what the Wired was going to evolve into.
No. It was that. Because the Wired was this thing that connected everyone, and that before the Wired was invented, no one noticed like this thing, and the Wired's job, like the Wired was this like, I'm gonna use the word frequency because I don't really know what to say. It was like this thing that was like, that's like the Earth has. And the Wired, and just like the internet ran on it, and like the radio ran on it, all electronic waves ran on this like frequency, and all people could as well, but they didn't, and then the whole goal of like one of the organizations was to like bring this subconscious frequency. Or this thing.
No, it wasn't one of the organizations. It was the one guy. The one guy that got killed and became the god of the Wired.
Oh.
That one guy.
Well, him and the Knights.
Oh.
Well, no, okay, the Knights, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the Knights were doing all the work.
Didn't the Knights try and blow up Lain at one point, though?
Yeah, that was actually one of the few things I never got. Because the Knights definitely worked for the god, but they also did at one point try to kill Lain, although that could have been the other organization lying to her. Remember?
Oh, that's true. It could have been.
So they were trying to make this thing into like a conscious, so all people would be consciously connected to all other people. And when that happened, because the whole thing was that the number of human beings was equivalent to the number of processors in bytes or something in a computer. And then so this conscious layer that would connect all people would be like the connections between like bytes or processors in a computer.
Is it supposed to be like transistors?
Maybe. But basically, so what happened is, so then humans would cease to be individuals, and instead the Earth itself would gain its own ego. And it would gain a consciousness, and like the planet Earth would become a conscious being, and and then all
Would
the
be the
humans,
combined conscience of all people.
yeah, and then all the humans would no longer have, individual consciousness. They'd just be basically processors for this super Earth conscious. And that was like what God was trying to do. And by the way, it was really weird because they combined, which is, I think is kind of cool about, Japan, and you also get this in like a number of other countries, like in India and stuff, where like, because two religions kind of grew up at the same time, like, they're really interwoven in weird ways. Like, because they were two different versions of the word God in this. There was, the wired God was definitely a Shinto God. He had power because he had worshippers. And without worshippers, he was eventually, gotten rid of. But then there was also God. Like, there was a legitimate, like, Christian theology God that was at the very end and told Lain, yo, it's all good. And Lain was a program who was created to break down the barriers between the real world and the wired, and to bring about this whole, conscious Earth consciousness. Yeah.
This sounds crazy.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
that's what it was.
One thing I noticed was, in a lot of, trippy, psycho Japanese stuff, it's actually a pretty common theme of interconnectivity. Is actually a pretty common theme. I mean, the most obvious being Evangelion, that was one of what they were doing. It was literally just that. And then in other things I've seen, like the Suicide Club had the same thing, had pretty much the same theme of interconnectivity between people. And I know I've seen a couple other ones. That was the other big one that came to my mind. Came to my mind as soon as I heard it. Figured out what was going on in this. It's a pretty common theme in Japanese subculture, I guess, which you don't really see much. We don't really see much of, but it's something I noticed because I watch movies.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so that's like a basic.
That's the basic plot of what happened.
Overview of what was happening. Yeah.
So how long did it take you to piece this together? Like,
I would say I followed it. Like, I didn't have much problems to follow. Like, I mean, honestly, I'm glad we didn't review it last night, because as we were as the night was going on, I was thinking about it, and that's how I kind of got it, really. I really got it late last night, and I probably wouldn't have if we would have done it yesterday.
Yeah, at first I was really confused when I finished. Well, not when I finished, but when I was nearly done, because I had accidentally watched episode 12 instead of episode 9.
Oh wow, that would definitely confuse the shit out of you.
Yeah, because it's like episode 12. In the end, she destroys the wired god.
Yeah.
She crushes him. And then in episode 10 and 11, she's talking to him again. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? But when I went and rewatched them,
I was pretty confused in one scene, because I thought that the one scene where after the knights are all killed, she's talking to him, and she's like, and he was like, oh, I'm gonna get you to do this thing. And she's like, I don't want to do that. And he's like, yeah, well, I still exist because you believe in me. And then have this energy battle, and then he disappears, and then the episode ends right away. I thought that was her killing the god because she was the true god of the wired, but then he came back, and I was really confused at that point. I thought one of the major points was she was the real god of the wired. The other god was like a fake god. He had these worshippers that, believed in him, and that's how he came about. But all the masses, the people who just, believed and used the wired, were what gave Lain her, omnipresence, which is their big way of defining the god.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Kind of weird.
Also, I thought the ending was sad. The ending made me sad. I hate these melancholy endings. It reminded me of Donnie Darko and Madoka. But not as happy as Madoka. It was just nothing melancholy.
It's not as bad as Donnie Darko. Donnie Darko, he dies at the end. He sacrificed himself for everybody else. And this one, she can still see these people.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean,
just the memories of her during this time when she became this god of the wired.
Well, I mean,
those memories are gone.
But the thing is, which they brought up a few times in the last episode. Like if no one knows who you are, and no one will ever know who you are, then you don't really exist. She lives in kind of this outside existence. She reminds me a lot of Koishi from Tohu. It's just, or you don't really know exactly. Like a canon Koishi, pre SA, was like she was this non-entity because she closed off her heart. Her whole thing is, even if you saw her, like most people couldn't see her, and even the few who did would instantly forget about her the moment they were out of her sight. And that's what kind of like Lain ended up as. Yeah, that's kind of how Lain ended up. Because she's just like this non-entity that she exists, like, but she exists objectively, but not subjectively to any other living creature's point of view.
I think we have different interpretations of the end. Because when she meets Alice or Alice or whoever you want to pronounce her name.
Yeah.
At the very end, when Alice is an adult.
Yeah.
I feel like she's allowed to remember her now. Like, not what happened before, but from that moment on, that Lain, she remembers.
Well,
once she meets on the bridge, she'll remember her.
But I mean, there was
so
like that.
She can build these relationships again if she really wanted to.
There was this brief spark of memory, like I think I know you. But I mean, even that was happening even when she was disappearing. There was this brief like, isn't someone supposed to exist? Aren't I supposed to remember someone? Don't I know you?
I'm not saying all those memories come back. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that exchange on the bridge will be remembered by Alice.
Then I interpret it as it would end up like, whatchamacallit, like Koishi, like the moment after she's kind of out of her thought process, like immediate thought process, she'll kind of just fade away. That's how I interpreted it, kind of. That's how I saw it. So, I thought it was kind of sad. She's kind of like this omnipresent form that, yeah. So, and the whole thing was she did it because, basically, which is kind of the classic, people shouldn't lose their individuality through interconnectivity because, people's individuality is important, which is, the common take.
But it's always the message of these things.
Of these things, yeah.
Always that message.
So, and that was the one for this one too. Jay, do you have anything to add to this? Or were you just completely lost through this entire thing?
I guess psychological thrillers aren't my thing.
One thing I liked about it, I really liked, especially the first few episodes before it got really trippy, and it was kind of just like, what's going on? Like, to me, it really felt like I was watching a Japanese horror movie. It had that horror movie tone, which is the tone of especially Asian and especially Japanese horror movies, is this very just like weird, disconnected, slow-paced tone, and like a lot of long pauses with like without sound that aren't there to just like build up tension, but just to like throw the pacing off, which is what this show, especially at the beginning, had in spades. Just long pauses that just throw the pacing of the show completely out of whack.
Yeah. Well, I think it should also be mentioned that the email she gets from one of her classmates at the beginning of the show, her classmate committed suicide like a week before she got the email.
Yeah.
And like, these emails were going out after her death. So it does just set it off with that kind of.
Although one thing I thought was weird was
and
they started out with that, but until the very end, they almost never bring like that. Really has never comes back up.
Oh yeah, that was.
I thought it was. Also, like they said, one of the big things was like the dead were coming up through the wire, but that was another thing. Other than there's the god. The one email from Chisa, and that's the only time that was really ever mentioned.
Well, I think it was supposed to be like those specters she was seeing. No?
Yeah,
because one of them was her sister.
You don't really see that happen.
I don't know.
In a definitive way.
Also, like, I looked this up, but it's like, when her sister sees her own specter, and then she kind of breaks down.
Yeah.
That would just seem pointless to me.
I was actually confused as shit. I was actually just gonna ask when you brought, like, what, I was so confused by what happened with the sister thing. Like, there was a thing, and then she saw herself, and then after that she just broke down and just, like, made buzzing sounds.
Yeah, like, I looked it up and, like, apparently it's because she's, like, in close proximity to Lain, so she kind of gets caught in this breaking down of the boundary between the Wired and the real world, and that's why she sees herself. Is this one's like her from the Wired and one's actually her. But I don't know why she like breaks down. Like, I figured at some point she would recover from that trauma.
Yeah, and I thought it was really just weird. And, yeah.
It seemed kind of pointless to me.
One thing I liked was the family. I liked how the family, especially again at the beginning, before things got crazy, was just so perfectly disconnected.
Yeah.
Like, just
I like the dad.
Like, the dad was just this guy who's obsessed with his computer. He, like, comes home from work, does his computer, and, like, the mom just, like, pretty much openly doesn't like her children and, like, hates her life. But at the same time, she's always just macking on the dad, and like and I was just so confused. Like, at first I thought she hated him too, and she just hated the whole family. But then they're like making out and stuff, and I'm like, wait, what? What's going on? Like, everything I would think about this family would just be thrown like under the rug, and I was just so confused.
Well, okay, originally the mother didn't seem to hate the older daughter. She may not have been like happy with her, but it wasn't like she asked her if she gets her college recommendation and stuff like that. But then when she breaks down, she's like, you and Lain are like the opposites now. She's always going out and you're always staying in, and that's when she starts hating everybody.
It was just so weird. Like, yeah, I loved the family because they were just, they did such a good job with the family of just being off.
Yeah. Also, Lain isn't their actual daughter.
Yeah.
For anyone listening. Since she is technically a program coded in by the guy that became the god of the network, who worked with Lain's father, and that's why Lain's father ends up taking care of her.
I don't know how you guys got all this information. I watched the show. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, Jay, did you watch this show?
Yes.
Are you sure? Because, like, it's not sounding like it from what I'm getting from you. You're just, like, sitting there quietly. Just, like,
I'm just stunned.
Okay, when they talk about Protocol 7, or whatever it is, the thing that eventually is going to break down the barrier,
okay.
You see the guy that becomes the god of the Wired.
I got that part.
And you see Lain's father.
Okay, that actually...
You see them at the
I didn't
Tajabani General Labs, or whatever it's called.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Like, you see them working there together, which is why he ends up taking care of her, because he was like, I was part of this, so it's my job to see it through.
It's like, I got the most vague details that don't make sense watching this show.
No, most of it doesn't make sense, because it's...
Well, I mean, I couldn't put it together.
That's its purpose.
Yeah, that's just psychological stuff, though.
Yeah, it's just that stuff. They make it hard to piece together, which is really the fun of these kinds of shows, is putting together what's going on.
This is the fun.
So,
this is the fun.
I don't know. I was looking forward to talking about it so I could piece it all together with you guys. I guess with Nate, because Jay is lost.
I'm trying to think.
I had one more thing I wanted to say. Okay, one thing that I was kind of confused about was, what was it? Like, actually no, I guess that makes, I don't know, just one thing that just, like, seemed out of place was one of the goggle guys.
Yeah,
one of the goggle guys was just like, oh, Lain, I love you, and I'm like, wait, what? Like,
oh yeah, that was pretty weird.
Those goggles
was just
so
out of the blue. I thought the goggles were pretty cool.
What?
They were kind of stupid.
They were stupid.
I thought
they were stupid in like a cool way, you know?
No.
Whatever.
Okay, one thing that I don't, like, I understand it, but I don't, like, understand why it's there, is the multiple lane thing.
What about it?
Like, how did it occur?
Well, because there's the Wired Lane, which was Lane's personality in the Wired, and then there was the physical body Lane, and they had separate personalities, and then as time went on, it became more like one would become stronger than the other. Like sometimes Wired Lane for a while would just take over of.
No, but like it would the Wired Lane or whatever would appear in the real world, like when she sees.
If Lain was a program, how'd she get a body?
From God.
Okay.
From God, yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's so weird.
From Wired God, not real God.
You remember that point where she appears in Arissa's room?
Yeah.
While she's masturbating or something?
Wired Lane, because she was in the Wired, could connect to anyone who was connected to the Wired. She could appear to them as a hologram. That would be a hologram, actually. That wasn't...
Okay, that's starting to make
That's
sense.
why she would also be seen in Siberia, and like, the DJ would be like, oh hey, you were here last night, and stuff like that. It wasn't physical body Lane, it was a hologram of Wired Lane.
I got that part.
Okay, that makes
I understood that!
That's basically all I'm gonna do.
That's what I
yeah,
got.
I was trying to think of like how she would appear outside the Wired, and then it's just like she appears in the minds of the people
she
connected.
Yeah, she appears as holograms to people connected to the Wired. So one thing I really liked was Wired Lane would use the word baka. I like that.
Oh!
So she was almost any female character from an anime.
So she called people stupid.
The way, it's a particular way. It's like why I like Spiral Shell Monkey from Seto no Hanayomen.
Oh, where it's that long, it's like baka.
Yeah, it's the condescending use of it. Which you don't see as often, because people who watch anime are fat, jobless nerds who don't like being condescended to.
I'm pretty sure no one likes being condescended to.
Well, there's actually a very particular fetish for that. But that's...
Yeah, a very particular fetish. You know what that means? Not very common.
Or it's so common, but lots of people hide it.
I got 10 minutes left on my battery, guys.
Alright.
You're an idiot.
Who was your favorite character?
Oh, my favorite character was Lain.
I mean, it was very hard to have. There's not going to be much difference in this, since there was like 5 characters total, and 90% of them had like barely any lines. I mean, I'm going to have to go with Lain too, because Lain was cool, and none of the other characters had any depth whatsoever.
What about you, Nathan?
Her father.
Her father?
I thought her father was kind of cool.
Way to be an outcast.
Like he had that creepy laugh at the beginning when she's like, I want a new system.
Yeah, he was
And then he
creepy.
just starts laughing. And,
I kind of liked how all the knights had, I don't know, they were just all different people who you wouldn't expect.
okay.
I don't know, that was something that I just liked. I liked the first half of the episodes before stuff gets explained. It's just all like, what the fuck is going on? But I mean, I think it stayed true, you know. It stayed good all throughout. It didn't get so weird that it's like, what is happening?
Yes, it did.
It was like I followed it all the way through. Like I didn't get to a point where I was just like I don't know what's going on anymore. I could follow it all the way throughout, which I liked.
Okay, well I think the problem Jay had is he didn't get stuff in the beginning episodes, so it hindered him in the later episodes.
I can see that. Yeah, this was one you kind of had to pay full attention to, like, to make sure you didn't miss anything.
I tried, but it was boring, in my opinion.
Um,
It's like, I just don't
Okay,
care.
Truman did say that this was like those Japanese and Asian horror movies where it's kind of long and drawn out in the beginning. So
yeah, the pacing, the slow pacing is definitely something they're trying to do. That's a definite thing. Like it
wasn't something I particularly enjoyed either, Jay. So
all right, let's go to scores then. Let's immediately go to scores. Jay, what's your score?
2.
Wow. 2.
I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to not hate something if you don't understand anything at all. If you only understand very little details.
Alright.
But it's not a 1 because it doesn't offend me. It just makes me hate myself. There's only one show that's ever offended me, but
What was that? Wait, what was that?
That was I forgot what it's called.
Right.
I put a mental
Nate,
block.
Go ahead.
Oh,
I am giving it a 5.
the art. That's another
Wow.
thing.
Yeah, okay, that's one of my problems with it is I didn't like the art.
Well, one thing you gotta remember is I think this is the oldest one that we've watched so far, being made in 98.
That's not the
No, I
oldest one
didn't.
we've watched.
But then
Constantly looking at her eyes just really bugged me.
it was definitely the art was weird. Even for 98, the art was very weird.
It was weird.
Yeah, that really, really annoyed me. And you were saying it's like long and drawn out in the beginning. That doesn't really appeal to me. And two, at times it seemed like the speech was drawn out, like with weird pauses in it. And I don't know if that's part of it, but that annoyed me. That thing with her sister just seemed kind of useless. I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be like, hey, this is what's going to start happening to people once the boundaries break down and everyone starts having a single conscience. Is they're just going to become apathetic and lazy and they're not going to do anything. They're not going to be able to say anything.
Alright, well, I gave it a high 9.
Oh, wow. Wow! Hello?
I gave it a 9 because I really liked the opening. I thought it was very well paced. I don't know, I just generally liked it the whole way through.
I can't believe you let your battery die. God damn it!
I'm sorry. Just
Oh, also, I want to say something.
Mhm.
That opening that you liked, I didn't. It annoyed the crap out of me.
really, I really like that
Yeah,
opening.
whenever that guy was like, present day, present time, it annoyed me.
He was laughing at
I tried
us.
to skip it every time, but I couldn't, because I'd always start like playing solitaire or something when I let the episode load.
I loved that. I wish that would have been at the very beginning of everything.
It was, almost, except for like one episode.
No, I think he means everything.
Yeah, wait, did you find a version where it wasn't the start of every one?
No, I think you meant, I was thinking you meant like everything.
It was, except like the final episode.
Like you start a random
The
video
final
on
episode was, like,
YouTube.
halfway through.
Oh, the one I had, it wasn't.
Oh, on mine it was, except at like the very last episode.
Which one?
Which it did it in the middle.
Which one did you get?
Call Girls?
Yeah, did you get the 720 or the 1080?
Does that really matter?
Probably 1080.
I got the exact same thing. It wasn't in the front of mine.
Are you sure?
I'm definitely sure because I remember I was specifically unhappy about the fact it wasn't in front of everything. I remember being upset.
Maybe I got the 720.
Huh. Wow. I was super upset about that.
No, I think it was 1080 because it's 520 times 1080. I'm pretty sure it's.
What's your folder look like? Send me a screenshot of your folder.
One sec. How large was your file?
Whole thing. Let me find out. 12.7.
Yeah, that's what that was mine.
So maybe because I'm using VLC as my player.
No, because I use VLC and it got it every time.
Yeah, I
Really?
use VLC.
Then what's the
Yeah,
problem that I'm having?
I don't know. Do you skip the opening at all?
No,
Do you have
no,
something
they
that skips the
didn't.
first like 10 seconds?
They didn't even give me a choice to.
Just
Or maybe you just don't remember.
Shit! No, it's because I was using MPC, not VLC.
See?
VLC wins.
Wow.
So
That's really... Apparently,
That
with
thing
MPC,
annoyed me.
with MPC, it definitely does not do that. It did not do that.
So any other reasons why he gave it a 9?
I mean, I just really liked the... Yeah, I'm just gonna like listen to this over and over and over. I really liked the pacing of the whole thing. I thought it was legit. I thought it was really good. I thought it was well paced throughout. I thought when it got crazy, it was still followable. It was just, really dense. But I didn't think, at no time did I think it became like it's just silly now. At no time it becomes so weird that it's silly. Like Evangelion became so weird that it was like this is unfollowable. Like I've seen it like 3 times, and there's parts where there's just things that they like bring up for no reason, and then it's just like here's a thing now, and then but this one they didn't do that at all. Like everything that was brought up was like here's the background, here's the explanation, here's how it fits in.
Except for the whole sister thing, they don't really go into that.
That was probably the one thing that was kind of just like this is the thing that happened, but
That's just something that the viewer has to understand themselves.
That wasn't like a real. That was she was there a whole bunch, but she didn't really have much to do with it. Whereas Evangelion's like, oh yeah, this spear is not here anymore, which means now our plan goes into action because that was super important. And I'm like, what? Like, it had a total screen time of 30 seconds. How was it that important?
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
So that's what I wanted to say about it. So I really liked it. I gave it a 9. At first it was an 8, but I really liked the theme song, so 9.
Well, that's a wide spread of scores.
Yeah, that's probably our widest spread of scores actually.
Yeah, it is.
Alright.
I preferred Evangelion. I thought it was a better psychological anime.
I prefer Evangelion.
I liked this one. I like this one a lot.
Alright.
I'm just saying.
So Nathan, what are we watching next week?
Next week we are watching...
You guys should watch BIM. You guys should watch,
we are watching
Magic Boy.
Binbo Gamiga.
You guys should watch instead Magic Boy.
We've already downloaded and decided.
Okay.
Yeah, we already downloaded Binbo Gamiga. Or whatever it's called.
That one's actually pretty good too.
Alright. So, that's it for the weekly watch this week. Tune in next week when we're watching Binbo Gamiga. It's like...
Except for me.
I'm Darkly 10,000 and I'm here to say goodbye.
Alright. See you guys.
Thanks for listening, I guess.
You guess?
Bye.
Don't guess.
I will always guess. Never be certain. Always have doubt.